The signal didn't come from space. It came from us. Dr. Elias Vance had spent his entire life chasing impossibilities. Hidden beneath a quiet desert facility, surrounded by humming machines and flickering quantum screens, he believed he had finally done it. He had found a way to speak to another Earth. Not a distant planet, not an alien civilization, but a mirror world, a parallel Earth. The first message was simple. "Hello, can you hear us?" For a long moment, there was nothing but static. Then, a reply appeared on the monitor, letter by letter, as if being typed by an invisible hand. "Yes, we've been waiting." Elias felt a chill crawl down his spine. What if the greatest discovery in human history was also the beginning of its end? News of the breakthrough spread quickly, though the full truth remained classified. Governments got involved. Military forces were placed on high alert. The world celebrated the idea of another Earth. But behind closed doors, fear began to grow. Who were they? Were they really like us? Or worse? Were they better? Elias and his team continued communicating with the parallel world. They called them Earth 2. At first, the conversations were peaceful, even friendly. The people on the other side shared similar histories, similar languages, similar dreams. They laughed at the same jokes. They mourned the same tragedies. But subtle differences began to appear. Earth 2 had advanced faster. Their technology was more refined. Their energy systems were cleaner. Their weapons, more precise. And then came the question that changed everything. Why did your world fall behind? Elias stared at the screen, unsure how to respond. Behind him, a general stepped forward, his voice cold. Ask them the same question. Curiosity turned into suspicion, and suspicion turned into fear. The tone of the conversations shifted. Each side began probing deeper, asking about military capabilities, defenses, strategies. What began as scientific curiosity slowly twisted into something darker. Both worlds started preparing. Satellites were repositioned, defense systems activated. Scientists were no longer leading the project. Soldiers were. Elias tried to resist. "This isn't why we started this," he argued. "This was supposed to unite us." But no one was listening anymore, because someone, somewhere, had made a terrifying discovery. The quantum bridge connecting the two Earths wasn't just a communication device. It was a doorway. And once a door exists, someone will try to walk through it. The first breach happened without warning. A flash of light, a distortion in space, and suddenly, a figure stood inside the facility. A soldier from Earth 2, armed and ready. Chaos erupted. Within minutes, alarms blared across both worlds. Each side believed the other had initiated an attack. Retaliation was immediate. Missiles launched, drones deployed, cyber systems collapsed under coordinated assaults. Two Earths, identical in origin, now locked in a war neither fully understood. Elias watched in horror as everything spiraled out of control. Cities burned, communication lines failed, millions lived in fear. And yet, something didn't feel right. The attacks were too precise, too perfectly timed, almost as if someone was orchestrating both sides. What if neither side started the war? Late one night, while analyzing quantum fluctuations in the bridge, Elias noticed something impossible. A third signal. It wasn't from Earth, and it wasn't from Earth 2. It was something else. Something hidden. He isolated the frequency and decoded the transmission. What he found made his blood run cold. A message repeating over and over. Phase 2 initiated. Elias's mind raced. "There's another player," he whispered. He dug deeper, tracing the signal's origin. It existed between the two worlds. The war wasn't a mistake. It was a setup. Elias realized the truth just as another massive attack struck both Earths simultaneously. The third force had been manipulating them from the beginning. It had planted subtle differences, influenced decisions, amplified fears. It needed the two Earths to fight. Because the energy released by their conflict, the destruction, the chaos, the quantum instability, was exactly what it needed to break through. Elias rushed to the control room. "We have to shut down the bridge," he shouted. But the system wouldn't respond. It was no longer under human control. And then it arrived. The sky split open, not just on one Earth, but on both. A massive fracture tore through reality, glowing with an unnatural light. From within it, shapes began to emerge, vast, shifting, impossible to fully comprehend. The third force. It wasn't human. It wasn't even physical in the way they understood. It was something older. Something that existed beyond dimensions. And now, it was here. Cities across both worlds froze in terror as the entity's presence spread. Technology failed. Gravity twisted. Time itself seemed to bend. Elias watched the monitors in disbelief. "We were never meant to meet," he whispered. "We were bait." But even in the face of extinction, humanity made one final choice. Elias knew there was only one way to stop it. The bridge had to be destroyed. Not just closed, but completely erased. But doing so would require a massive energy surge. One that would likely destroy the facility, and him along with it. He hesitated. Then, a new message appeared on the screen. From Earth 2. "We understand now. Let's end this. Together." For the first time since the war began, both worlds were united. Not in conflict, but in survival. Two worlds, one decision. Elias initiated the sequence. On both sides, scientists worked in sync, coordinating across collapsing systems and failing networks. The energy level surged beyond safe limits. The machine screamed under the docked. The entity reacted instantly. It pushed harder, forcing itself through the fracture, its presence growing stronger. The room shook violently. Lights exploded. Screens went dark. Elias held his ground. "Almost there," he whispered. And then, silence. A blinding flash consumed everything. For a moment, there was nothing. No sound, no light, no time. Then, darkness. When the dust settled, the sky was whole again. No fractures, no entities. The war had stopped. On both Earths, people looked up in confusion, as if waking from a nightmare they couldn't fully remember. The bridge was gone, completely erased. And with it, all connection between the two worlds. Somewhere on another Earth, a man looked at a blank screen and wondered if they had ever been alone. No one knew for sure what had really happened. Records were incomplete. Memories felt fragmented. The truth became a story, and the story became a legend. But deep within the silence of the universe, one thing remained certain. Some doors are never meant to be opened.